But what the marketing pulpit is about is strategy. Use social media and stop letting it use you. That's one thing about a business. It's an equalizer. It's a game changer. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. I may stop at some period, but as long as folks acting the fool, got to talk about it. And one of the things you want to do as a business owner is to create barriers of entry. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more, they should be given more flexible work hours. We have to think like the successful companies. Good morning and welcome to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. If I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold it against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake, because the mission here is to build strong businesses in our community so we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. If you ever find yourself at a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit TV show, because we're on a mission. We're about building businesses and creating jobs and building an economic foundation for our community. That's not a small task, but we can do it with your help. Thank you for joining me. I'm Robert Gatewood. I am here every Friday. I am a business developer by trade. I have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web, and we are a business development company. I'm also an adjunct professor at Prince George's College in the DC area. I've written a couple of books, one called Played in Full, another called Smarter Than the Boss. I'm also a consultant for the Small Business Administration on the 8A program. So yeah, I got a little bit of cred, have a few receipts, but that's not to brag. That's to say that for anybody, if you're getting advice from somebody, they need to know what they're doing. Now, I'll tell you what, I will put all of those credentials aside and put this one in its stead. I have done it. I'm doing it right now. I don't speak from theory. I speak from experience. I've been doing this. I've worked with practically every type of company and every type of situation that you can imagine. And it's marketing is not for the weak of heart. It's if you're going to start a business and you're going to throw your hat in that ring, I mean, you stand a lot to lose, but you stand a lot to gain. So you might as well do it right. And marketing is one of those things that in life, that the inability to pay for it does not preclude your need to have it. Matter of fact, it's almost the opposite. If you can't afford it, you need it more than anybody, because you need to create those revenues that are important to sustain a business. And there is no better way, no matter what anybody tells you, there is no better way to do it than with good, sound marketing. And that's why here on this show every week, I bring you marketing tips, advice, tried and true principles, foundations, and some contemporary things that are breaking, like what's happening on social media, in the digital space. And we also bring you news, business news, what's happening and how we can contextualize it, how it applies to you and will affect your business and your ability to survive. So you have all kind of reasons to tune in. So I just want to thank you again for tuning in. And once again, thank you for everybody who's tuning in. If you're tuning in for the first time, I say welcome. Where in the heck have you been? But you can go back to marketingpulpit.com, and the website, we have practically all of the shows. You can go to the shows and you can watch the show live right on the homepage. Right on the homepage. Now, if you have social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, you can watch the show live on those platforms. So we've made it easy for you. There is no excuse not to get this information. Now, you don't have to take everything I say for gospel. Even though I am the marketing pulpit, it's not gospel necessarily, but you have another voice. Sometimes you need somebody to run things through. Sometimes you've heard it. Sometimes you just need confirmation. So, daggone it, somebody told me that I need to get a website. What does Gatewood think about that? Somebody says I need to get a Facebook page, or I may not have to be on every platform. What does Gatewood say about that? Somebody told me about the importance of branding. What does Gatewood have to say about that? Somebody told me this thing about the 4 P's of marketing and the consumer life cycles, consumer adoption process. What does Gatewood have to say about that? See, you don't have to come in here and agree with me, but sometimes you need that extra voice. I'm glad to provide it. Thank you again. You can find out more about me. You can go to gatewoodmarketing.com. I also have a page on Marketing Pulpit, and I have a website, robertgatewood.com. So I'm out there. Just Google me. You can find out more about me and what I do. And why do I think I have the right and privilege and honor to sit here and tell you how to market your business? Just give you another way to look at it. Thank you again for tuning in. Good morning, Mr. Brown, the greatest plumber in town. Everybody else who's tuning in this morning. And if you want to join the conversation, engage, just drop your comments on the screen and we will engage you and let people know you're out there. Some of you have businesses and organizations, nonprofits. Some are looking for jobs, whatever you're doing. Just drop me a note in the feed and we'll shine that light on you. We'll put you on the pulpit. Let me tell you something that happened this week. This week was my birthday. I have taken another trip around the sun. Man, I'm getting old and long in the tooth here. Well, of course, I've tried to take care of myself. I try to eat right. I exercise. I try to treat people right. And hopefully, I've been rewarded with longevity and good health. And I will continue to do that. And then, of course, when birthdays roll around, everybody wants to ask you what you want to, what can they do for you? Want to give you gifts and all types of gratuities. And I say, I'm going to tell you what, I've done well in life. I'm not a millionaire or a billionaire or, well, that all depends, man. But I don't consider myself so well off that I can't grab an extra buck or two. But that's not what I'm about right now. I'm about giving back and sharing what I have received over the years with others. But the biggest thing that I have received over the years is knowledge and wisdom. And it didn't all come from me. It came from other people. It came from scholars, people who know much more about this stuff than I do. But what I've done, I've taken this information and I've honed it and tried to make it pertinent and relevant for people in my audience, my target audience, which is small businesses, nonprofits, and well, I have a pretty good sized audience, but whatever. My goal is to make sure this information gets to the right people. Now, sometimes we have to step outside the business arena and get more global and general in our approach. And that's why on this birthday of mine, I wrote this a couple of years ago when people are asking me that same question. What do you want for your birthday? What can I do for you? So I wrote it's a quote, that's an acronym. I took the word birthday and I took each letter in the word birthday, birthday, and put a word with it. And this is what you can do for me, Robert Gatewood, for my birthday. But it's not about me. It's about what you can do for you. Because if you do this for you, you are rewarding me in ways untold. The first one is the B in birthday. I want you, under the sound of my voice, to be bold. There's an old saying, fortune favors the bold. It's okay to be safe, but don't be so safe that you're not living. Don't fear failure. Fear stagnation instead. That's my first request that you can do for me on my birthday is to be bold. The second thing you can do for me is to inspire. Encourage others. Be their cheerleader. Help shield them from the forces of negativity that are out here. And there's plenty of it. Inspire. The next thing you can do, and this is for the R, is to resist. Fight the forces of evil. Fight bigotry, racism, and all the other ills of society. Sharpen your sword, polish your shield, and join the battle as you resist. That's the R. And for the T, I want you to think. Be a thinker. Don't follow the crowd. If you find yourself following the crowd, I want you to do this. Soar over it, go around it, tunnel under it if you must. And if all else, just let it pass, because you are a thinker. You don't have to follow that crowd. Now, sometimes you find yourself in the crowd and it's going the right direction that you were going to go anyway. That's okay. But I want you to be in that crowd because you thought about it, not because you're just following others. People lead you down to a bad path if you let them. Now, the H on birthday, I want you to hold on. Be steadfast. Don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Hold on to your beliefs, because sometimes when the going gets tough, that's the only thing you have left. So hold on. There's a song out there. Hold on. That's the H. And the D, I want you to dream. Think big. Create something that's never been created. Do something that's never been done before. Know that the possibilities are infinite. That's the D. On the A, I want you to act. I want you to do something, and do it today. Don't give in to perfectionism and procrastination. Act. Because sometimes you go for that perfection, it never gets done. So I want you to act. Do it today. Do something today. Don't think about it. Sit there and worry and procrastinate. Get it done. And the Y on my birthday, this is what you can do for you that will help me have a happier birthday week, is to yearn. Yearn for something that's greater than you can accomplish alone. If you are yearning for something that you can accomplish by yourself, you've probably set the bar too low. You need to bring other people. Have that great vision. Then go out and find the pieces and the people to make it happen. Yearn. Yearn. Now, if you do these things, Robert Gatewood is going to have a very happy birthday week. Many are already doing it. Just give some of us something to think about, and it's things that I aspire for also. I don't just get up here and tell folks what to do. I do these things myself. So thank you again for everybody for all the well wishes I received. And if you have a birthday coming up, you want us to shout you out, by all means, let me know. I'd be glad to recognize your presence on this earth. We're just glad to have you, and glad to have you tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit Show. Now, something else I want to throw in here, just a little at the end here. Now, there are two types of people we're going to meet in life. Not a lot of types of people, but these two specifically that can impact your psychic energy. We don't have an infinite amount of psychic energy. There are people that just put you at ease just when they walk in the room. It's like, thank goodness Gerald is here. Thank goodness Susie's here. Thank goodness Linda is here. Thank goodness Fred is here, whomever. Then there are people that come in the room that just suck the life out of you. That just bring your blood pressure up to the top of your head. Now, you don't have to sit there and have a committee to figure that out. You just know. You're given instincts, discernment. And when you run into these folks, you got to recognize them. I'm just going to say this to you because, and this is not to knock anybody, but I'm telling you, you got to put those people around you that put you at ease and make you feel good and promote you and uplift you. I don't mean people who are patsies or just going to be amen corner when you're doing something crazy. You don't need those people. Sometimes you need somebody to straighten you out. But you know what I'm talking about. People that you know have your best interests at heart. And it's going to help you. And then there are other people that are really out to do you harm. You need to get those people. Don't get rid of them like in a physical way, but you need to avoid your contact with them as much as possible because that will affect your psychic energy. Sometimes it's a client, sometimes it's a customer, sometimes it's somebody who's an associate. You don't have to disassociate with them entirely, but you will find out that it can affect you in a negative way. So what I want you to do is to surround yourself, like we talked about in this birthday acronym. You be that inspiration, that cheerleader for people, for someone. Help them navigate these tough times we're in. And that's my message for you on my birthday. Now, later in the show, we're going to talk about something that's really, I even question, wondered if I should even talk about it because it's such a touchy topic. And that's culture wars. That's about belief-based opinions and how it can affect your business. People right now are making decisions on whether or not to do business with you based on sometimes culture, sometimes your race, sometimes your beliefs on certain issues. And as a business owner, it's getting more tenacious. It's getting more difficult to navigate these waters. So I'm going to provide my insight on how, as a business owner and a consumer, how we navigate these times. When in the old days, you bought a product because you liked the way it worked. You liked the way it looked. You liked the way it felt on you. Now you're wondering about what is the philosophical and political beliefs of the owner, of the manager, of the cashier, even in some cases. We have to deal with this. It's not going away and it's not getting any better. It's actually getting worse. So I'm going to give you my take on it. As someone who deals with many people on a day-to-day basis, I deal with people of every stripe, every political affiliation, every race, economic status, and a myriad of different beliefs. And I must admit, it has gotten a little trickier than it used to be. We're going to talk about that coming up in our marketing sermon today. We're also going to talk about some things that are happening in the news, which is what we're going to do when we come back. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. And we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Don't you go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after this minute. All ads are not created equal. Now, many people run ads on social media. Those ads are not guaranteed to work. People are pumping in this money on Facebook. They do a LinkedIn ad. They do Google ads. They're doing ads of all different types. And the problem is that there's not much of a strategy on the placement of these ads. And the goals are not necessarily clear. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more. They should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop in some period, but as long as folks bag the food, you got to talk about it. Hey, welcome back. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Got a lot going on. We are going into the second month of the year. Next week, we're going to be in February. January is wrapping up. And that first month went by pretty fast. We got a lot to do, though, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make the best of this time we have on this earth. And so I encourage you, let's go out here and let's not let grass grow on our feet. Let's keep moving. Let's do things. Let's take a evaluation every now and then of where you are and where you need to go. And if you're doing your business, take a look at those KPIs, key performance indicators, metrics, to make sure things are moving in the right direction. Don't be surprised when you look up one day and the money a little light. And you could have seen it coming by just kind of doing a check-in every now and then on how you are doing as a business. The one thing I try to do is keep you abreast of the news, and that's sort of like a marker, something you can kind of gauge yourself against what's going on. If it's things that are happening out here and you're not a part of it, maybe you should be, or maybe you shouldn't. Sometimes you don't even know you're a part. Sometimes something going on, you're a part of it, you not even realize it until it sneaks up on you and bites you. Like, for instance, America's got a trucking problem. That's just not enough trucks going up and down the road. We have labor issues. We still have delivery drivers. There's just a vast shortage of delivery drivers. We got maintenance issues on the highways. It's just so the goods and services that need to move up and down the highways. They're being hampered right now because some of these issues that we're dealing with. And as a business owner, you need to be aware that when you're making these promises on delivery, that you know for a fact it's going to be there when you promise it. So I just might, right off the bat, you might extend your, we call lead time. That's the time from the time you order it to the time you promise delivery. We call that lead time. So considering that we have this trucking problem and we still have some supply chain issues that are, look at the grocery store shelves. Now you see shelves a little lighter than they used to be. And you're ordering things, sometimes it takes longer. So as a business owner, you want to be more cognizant and aware that things may take longer to deliver. That doesn't mean stop delivering, but kind of keep an eye on the supply chain and the delivery problems and challenges that are coming up. Now, Apple is not having any problems. They've had another record quarter. About $124 billion in revenue. That's the biggest quarterly result on record. That's a lot of money. And it passed their expectations. Man, I tell you, I like the word when you exceed expectations. Now they're going to turn their phones into payment terminals. That means they're going to be rivaling with Square and Apple Pay in its processing systems. So Apple is on a roll. Now what does that have to do with you? Well, when these big companies are making this kind of money, and particularly if you may find yourself on the competing end, you got to look at where you fit in this paradigm. Sometimes you have to adjust. Sometimes it's the old, you can't beat them, join them. Sometimes you have to get in the supply chain. Sometimes you have to look at rivaling them, finding a niche because they've apparently discovered a market that's in high demand. So when we give this kind of information, is for you to look at and do some evaluation on your own company and what you might do differently or improve upon. Sometimes you may even decide to change course. Now, if you're in if you're a worker right now, here's something that this is really for the young people out there, people really who's actually have a job right now, who have a 9 to 5, or whether it's a hybrid or whatever. But proximity, there's a discussion right now about proximity and does it improve your career? And when I say proximity, when you have these hybrid situations where some people are working from home, some are working in the office, some they get to choose. Well, I'm just going to go on a limb and tell you, folks, this has just come from my experience. Being closer to the boss is actually going to work in your favor unless you're a really rotten employee. But if you're good at what you do, there is something about out of sight, out of mind. Just know that. That is, and I think if you've been in this workplace long enough, you will agree that the person that is the closest to the boss, and that's why sometimes people of certain genders, races, and other demographics find themselves on the short end of the stick because they may not be as relatable to the boss as somebody else. And so sometimes even the boss is not even aware of that bias. They just figure they're treating everybody the same, but then they're going and golfing out with Fred, and they're at the country club together, and their neighbors and their kids go to the same school. Well, that proximity has rewards. And so a survey of 10,000 workers around the world, they were debating this. And I think it's going to come back that people do realize that if you have a situation where you're doing hybrid work, some people are in the office, some people are working from home. The bosses say, I'm going to be in the office. So I'm going to give you, Fred and Susie, the option to come in or not. Well, Fred decided to come in. Susie, of course, she has the kids. I'm not saying that's the way it should be, but that's the way it usually falls. So she's got to take care of the kids. So she decides to work at home. Well, Fred, all of a sudden, his career starts to ascend while Susie kind of stagnates. That's just the way it is, but that's not the way it should be. I'm not telling you what to do. Just telling you that's something that seems to be a reality. I think it needs to be adjusted as people are making these decisions. Let's see. Joe Biden has determined he's going to choose a black woman to replace retiring Justice Breyer. Justice Breyer has been on the bench for 27 years, and Biden announced this week that he was going to replace him with a black woman. Now, of course, that's gotten a lot of discussion about, the people on of course, the other side have always, they're going to be against anybody, whoever you put out there, if you're on the other side of the aisle. But some people are questioning his decision to just call it for what it is, that he's going to replace it with a black woman versus just saying, I'm going to put the most qualified person in. I tell you, I'm not 100% sure that he should have just called it, I'm going to replace him with a black woman. I think he just do it. Throw some other folks on that list too, but in the back of your mind, you know what's going to happen because the proof is in the pudding, really. You don't have to, sometimes you have to walk in silence and just do what you're going to do. Now, the other side they're notorious for that. They'll sit there and have you believe in one thing, but when they're doing the exact opposite. But so I definitely believe we should have a black female on the bench, 100%. Now, the strategy of announcing it, not quite as sure. That's just my opinion, because I know how people can be. Just creating drama. Let's see. Glossier lays off 80 of their corporate staff. Now, that's about a third of the people, because they said they made some mistakes in their decision. They kind of strayed away from their core business. And that happens from time to time. Sometimes as a business, you get caught up in the fanfare, you get caught up in the gadgets, you get caught up in the cuteness, and you do kind of stray from what your core business. And we do that sometimes as small business owners. We see a nice little somebody else doing something, let me do that too. Your audience may not give a hoot about that. So we have to be aware of that at all times. Don't stray too far before you do anything, whether you add another location, before you add another product, before you raise a price, before you get rid of a product, before you increase the size of your office. Always ask this question: how does this affect my target audience? Is it going to be a plus or a minus? If you're not sure, don't do it. You're trying to grow. If part of your strategies to grow, then of course you got to do some things. There's nothing going to be 100% guaranteed, but always keep that audience. Keep that audience in mind at all times. Let's see, Cardi B won a $4 million lawsuit against YouTuber Tasha K. This was an interesting story. Yeah, Tasha K is a YouTuber. She has millions of followers, and so part of her, she's like a Wendy Williams, I guess, on the digital version of Wendy Williams, and she dishes out on people, and she got somehow attached and obsessed with Cardi B, this rapper, and man, she was on her like white on rice. She said she had a disease, said she was a prostitute, said she was, my goodness, drug issues, talked about a marriage, talked about a kid. And so Cardi B sued her. And the ruling just came down this week. She was awarded $1.3 million to cover legal fees, and the total damages came to almost $4 million. Now, this is just a word, a shot over the bow to anybody out there who's doing these type of podcasts or YouTube channels. And the whole idea is to get views, because let's see, if you're on YouTube and you got 1 million views, then of course you can make all kind of money on advertising. And so what you do, you keep doing things to increase your viewership, and sometimes at the detriment or at least the disdain of some of the people who are the target of your wrath. Well, Cardi B said she wasn't having it, so she has sued, and of course she won. Well, I tell you, that's part of why I'm never going to have 1 million followers. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm big, and I like to. My goal is to build businesses and put people to work. Now, sometimes I do like talk about this news. Sometimes I may talk about some things that that's why that relevant to business. But you got to make it. You can't sit up here and talk about the 4 P's of marketing for an hour. You got to make it interesting as well to get the metrics that you need to continue. All right, let's see what else we're going to talk about today. There's a executive from Merrill Lynch found out the hard way that you just can't go into a smoothie shop and throwing cups at the workers. Now, this is what happened. This executive from Merrill Lynch, he went into the smoothie shop, and he ordered a smoothie, and he said, don't put any peanuts in it. And from the way the story is told, that he didn't necessarily say why he didn't want the peanuts. I mean, for the people behind the counter, it could have been like he didn't like the peanuts, or he didn't like the fact he got stuck in his teeth, or what. Well, come to find out, the reason he didn't want the peanuts in his smoothie was because he had an allergic child, which I can relate to this personally, that sometimes people have allergies, and you put something in that food, I mean, it can really do you some damage. So what happened, this guy came back into the shop, and man, he was fit to be tied. He was like, look, you put this peanuts in my smoothie, my kids out here, I'm blowing up like a blowfish. I need some answers. So he goes into the store and he starts telling the workers, I want to know who put this smoothie together. Of course, the people in the store are like, hey, look, we don't know. This is a busy place here. We can't be tracking every smoothie. And so, make a long story short, he got a little overly heated. He threw a cup at the worker, threw a couple of racial slurs around, and now he's out of a job. Now, I'll tell you a couple of things about this story. First of all, he was wrong in every way I can imagine. You don't go into a store, traumatizing teenagers. You definitely don't assault them with a cup and call them racial slurs. But the other thing is that when you have a child who has an allergy, that ultimate responsibility falls on you, the parent, not some 16-year-old pimple-faced kid in a smoothie shop. Of course, they're going to do the best they can. I mean, they're getting paid, what, $10 an hour, in some case, $7 an hour, and you're going to put the life of your kid in their hands? So what you have to do is to take a greater responsibility. First of all, you have to build a relationship with that child. You need to know the manager. You need to talk. People need to know you when they see you coming. Making sure that, here come Mr. Merrill Lynch. You better not put any peanuts in his kid's smoothie because he got allergies. Sometimes you have to talk to the manager. And if it's that dire, you probably shouldn't go to a smoothie shop, but where their whole basis of their business is mixing things up. There's a possibility of cross-contamination. So the parent in this case was wrong on so many levels. Now, of course, the store's got to take a responsibility by making sure that when somebody says peanuts, it's usually sometimes that allergy is for real. But that's a lot of responsibility to put on an establishment. Parents, it falls on you. Hate to put it so bluntly, but it is what it is. Let's see what else is going on. Now, Amazon, and we're going to come back in a minute. We're going to talk about, we're going to get to our story for today. Amazon and Whole Foods was sued because they did not provide an employment opportunity to a convicted murderer. Now, I know that sounds, on prima facie, that sounds like, well, I mean, why would you hire a convicted murderer? Well, this guy had 20, I guess several years ago, 27 years, he had been convicted of murder, but he was, of course, he had served his time, and I think the law said you can't deny somebody a job because of their past record, even though in some cases, many places now you can't even ask that question. Well, they did ask, and he had said that he didn't have that record, and they fired him. And they went to court, and now it's actually, the judge said the case can go forward, and we'll see how that works out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about our topic for today. We're going to talk about can strongly held beliefs and business success coexist? Man, this is a minefield. Every time you turn around now, somebody's boycotting somebody's threatening somebody's doing this, that, and the other, and business owners are just pulling their hair out. They're just trying to get paid. Some of them, but some of these businesses, they are not shrinking violence. They're wearing their beliefs, even their controversial beliefs, on their shoulder like a badge of honor. We're going to talk about that coming up, and I'm going to give you my take on it, because this is obviously this is not something we can solve in a 1-hour show. But I'm going to give you some test cases that have come in the news recently. We've got Pepsi, we've got Whole Foods, we've got, all types of companies that are dealing with this right now. So hold on to your hats here. We're going to take another quick break. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we'll be right back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more. They should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop in some period, but as long as folks back the food, got to talk about it. There's the saying that if you build a better mousetrap, the world will be the path to your door. Now, that's a notion that has been around for a while. And what that portends is that if you're providing innovative, top-notch services and products that the public will reward you, they will literally be the path to your door. I mean, how can you argue with that? Except it's not just good enough now to have a superior product. Yes, I want you to continue to put out a good product, but what I'm going to ask you to do today is to spend some of that energy, besides putting out a good product, you have to put some energy on getting the world to beat that path to your door. No matter how good your product is, if people don't know about it, they're not coming to your door, and it's certainly not beating the path. Let's talk about war in the workplace. I talk about stakeholder relationships quite often. Stakeholders is anybody who has a stake in the success or failure of your business. And generally, these components, these ingredients work in concert. They support each other. We have synergy. They're like, freaking frat, working together. But every now and then, what we're seeing right now, we are seeing them come to blows, literally. All right, welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, today we're going to do a show, which, like I say, it's a tough show to do because what we are seeing right now, almost we're seeing culture wars taking place right in front of our eyes, and business owners, we're navigating a really tough minefield. I mean, there are mines everywhere. So what I'm going to do today, we're going to address this. And like I said, it's not something we can solve in a 1 hour show, but I at least want to get you to thinking. And one second thing, I want you to know that it's coming. It's out there. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it's going to come to your doorway. In a viral TikTok video, a Black business owner shared an email that she received from a client demanding a refund when the customer found out that the business was Black. That was the only reason this person wanted a refund. It wasn't because it was poor service, order wasn't wrong, they weren't late with the delivery. The woman said, "Can you please cancel my order? Unfortunately, I was not aware that you are a person of color, and I just don't like to support small businesses that do not align with my version of support." And the lady said, before you go on a tyrant, before you go on a rant, it's called my preference. And she went on to further because we know how you people are. Okay. Of course, the company refunded the lady's money. And of course, she was disturbed by that. And rightly so. That's my first story. Second story, Boycott Pepsi has been a growing cause since Pepsi has donated to the Texas GOP after the abortion ban. There are many people are planning on boycotting Pepsi because, of course, Texas has this very conservative approach to politics, and abortion happens to be one of those topics where they have decided that they're going to take the put laws in place, some of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country. And so Pepsi, of course, Pepsi donates to all types of companies, but they're also donating to the Texas GOP. And people are saying, look, I'm not going to drink any more Pepsi because of their stance, of their beneficence. They're donating to the Texas GOP, even in light of the fact that they're passing these prohibitive and restrictive laws on abortion. That's another story. Boycott Walmart is another call that's coming out right now over mandate requirements in the stores. So now people are saying because in some of the Walmarts, they're requiring vaccine mandates to even get into the store, particularly up in places like Quebec, Canada. And of course, the people are saying, we don't think that's right, so we're going to boycott Walmart. Once again, we're seeing these culture wars. We're seeing people's beliefs taking center stage on the business battlefield. And a story that's been in the news practically every day, Neil Young requested that his music be removed from Spotify. Now, Spotify represents 60% of the music streams. And Neil Young basically told Spotify, you either get Young or you get Grogan, because there's this guy, Joe Grogan, who's he's been talking about how COVID, he's a anti-masker, anti-vaxxer, that psychology. And so Neil Young, who takes the different stance, he said that he's accusing Rogan of spreading misinformation about COVID-19 vaccines and the pandemic. And so he gave Spotify an ultimatum. Get my music off your platform or get rid of this guy. Well, of course, Spotify was like, I'm not sure I'm going to let you bully me. I may, even if I agree with you, you're putting me in a tough place. And so I don't know who pulled the trigger, what, but the bottom line is there was a mutual agreement that Spotify now is no longer streaming Neil Young's music. Once again, another example of where beliefs and business are confronting are conflicting. Now, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. This is coming to your door soon. Race. Let me jump right into my. This is actually going to come to your door. I hate it. I really hate this. Once upon a time, we did our business. We put out the best product. We went by the 4 Ps. We did the perfect product, the right price, promoted it right, and had it in the right place. That's what mattered. We applied and adhered to the consumer adoption process. We went through the research, the introductory, the growth, the maturity, and the decline. We went through the left brain, the right brain thinking, and the balanced brain. We went through all the reasons that people should buy a product, whether it was to make money, for emotional reasons, security, scarcity, social proof, physical needs. We followed it to the letter. We didn't have to put into that formulation whether or not I was a certain race, or I had a certain belief or stance on abortion. But because this was happening. Now, this is phenomenon is not really new. It's been around as long as there's been business. But a couple of things that have happened in recent years, probably in the last 4 or 5 years, we've had divisive politics. Started back when President Obama was elected, and people started digging in their heels. Then it was followed by somebody who was even more divisive. We had that. Now, President Obama wasn't divisive. He just happened to be the wrong color for a lot of people. I mean, this guy was really, he was, as far as I'm concerned, he was not a divisive president. He was progressive. Now, of course, that means divisive to some people. Then we had followed by somebody else that really was more divisive in nature. And then we had a pandemic. So it exacerbated some of these divides, these fault lines that already existed in society that have now found their way into the business sphere. As a result, people are meaner, they're less tolerant, they're more vocal, they're more blatant, they're in your face, they're more prone to violence. And last but not least, they're more likely to weaponize their spending based on these beliefs. That's where it affects we business owners. Well, of course, the violence doesn't help either, but the spending part really hits home. Now, what are these beliefs that people hold so dear that have been such fault lines that have found their way into the business world? Faith, religion, race, critical race theory. Now, that one that really rubs me the wrong way. You have people who have done dastardly things in the past, created horrible conditions for the Black race. And now you're outlawing their ability to talk about it. So you can do it again and not have to talk about it. Anyway, political affiliation, a fault line, progressive, liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, red, blue, independent. Those are fault lines. Gender politics, LGBTQ, gay, straight, whatever. Those are fault lines. Abortion, pro-life. Those are minefields that business owners are having to deal with now. And of course, the most recent one is the vaccine mandates, masks. And people are really just acting the plain fool out here. And as a business owner, we are having to deal with it. You may not have had to deal with it yet, but it's coming to your door soon enough. As this poor company found out that this lady would not buy from her because they found out that she was a person of color. She didn't ask for that. She wasn't wearing it on her sleeve. She wasn't wearing a kufi cap with a fist in the air. The lady had to find out that she was a person of color. And she said, I want my money back. So there are different ways you can approach this. I'm going to give you a few. Some of that's the way we're already dealing with it. The first one is the total embrace of your beliefs. You wear it on your sleeve. You're not hiding it from anybody. Now that depends whether or not that strategy is going to work for you, because it depends. Everything about marketing goes back to your audience. If 90% of your audience feels the way you do, it's very likely you could get away with that. You're in a vacuum. So if everybody believes that, you should not deal with people because of their color, and everybody in your audience, or at least most of them, feel that way, you could probably do that. Unfortunately, some people thought that and it wasn't true, and they found themselves out of business because they didn't do their demographic homework. They didn't understand exactly who their audience was. That's one approach. Another approach is you can start multiple brands and segment your services so that you can serve this audience under one brand with the color, the imagery, the beliefs, another brand with a different color, imagery, and beliefs, and another color. Depends on the audience. Some companies have done that, and they have set up like shadow companies to hide behind so that they can still tap into get the money that they want and kind of keep their beliefs to themselves by putting out multiple brands. That's one approach. Another approach is the neutrality approach. You just keep it to yourself. It's like, it's nobody's business but mine. I'm not going to tell you what my color is, my race, my affiliation, my stance on abortion or gender identity. I'm just going to keep it to myself. Now that runs into some challenges too, because sometimes, because we've gotten so divisive politically, it's almost like you please nobody, you offend nobody. It's like you kind of, it's a tricky thing, and that's where most people fall. I deal with a lot of companies that we're putting together their literature, their websites, and they say, look, take that black person off the homepage and kind of put a neutral person, either light-skinned black or a black and a white or a Hispanic or an Asian, something else. But don't put that black person on there because they're going to know I'm a black company. So it depends. Now, if your audience is 100% black, that might not be a good strategy. But if you have a more diverse audience, or which leads us to the next group, which is a total disassociation. In other words, you're just going to deny what it is that you are and what you believe. And sometimes even go all the way to the opposite side. We see that in politics every day. Matter of fact, the previous president, he started out, he was not what he is, what he became today. He decided that there was more opportunity by actually doing a total reversal, a disassociation, and a denial of earlier beliefs. I'd like to say, once again, we're not going to solve this problem today, but I do have a few parting words. And once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Chuck and Erica and Gerald, and a few other people. I see your numbers. I don't see all your names, but I do thank you for tuning in this morning. Let me tell you something called a purity test. Few of us will pass a purity test when it comes to deciding where we're going to spend our money or who we're going to serve. Try if you will, you're going to tie yourself in a knot. Because the minute you decide, look, I'm not going to buy from that company ever again, or I'm not going to serve that audience, you find out that they're the only game in town. So forget the purity test for right now. Let's think about that, or let's just hold that in abeyance for right now. Because I know right now I'm probably either wearing something or eating something or driving something from somebody where our beliefs are totally opposite. So the purity test is hard. Now, another fact is that the closer it is to us, the easier it is to pass judgment on a particular company. The closer, the more it affects us, the more willing we are to take that stance. Now, if you're a woman and you want to terminate a pregnancy and you find out a company is against that, then you're going to be willing to, that's a hill you're willing to die on, not literally, but for somebody else who's standing back and watching it, it's like, well, you know, I believe that lady's right to choose, but I'm not willing to boycott because, you know, they do make a good cup of coffee. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of like, the closer it is to you, the more willing you are to take that steadfast stance. And sometimes like I support them, but it does not affect me personally. Now, the other thing we have to keep in mind too, and this is a marketing term that many big companies are very aware of, and they're probably starting to recalculate it in these times. It's called the freedom to abandon the market. Now, the freedom to abandon the market is a marketing term that means I am offering this service. I'm probably doing okay with it, but it's not my main service or my main company in some case, or my main product line. I could stop it tomorrow and be just fine. And we're probably going to start to see that in many cases where companies are going to say, look, I'm going to exercise my freedom to abandon the market. I'm going to take this stance because even though I may lose half of the people that are following me now, because of this concept called the freedom to abandon the market, I'm going to be fine because I'm making up the money on other products and other business ventures. So that's why this purity test gets really, really hard. It gets really, really hard. So I'm going to break it down to this. Sometimes it may boil down to this. How do you treat those with whom you disagree? And how do the people that you disagree with, how do they treat you? Short of a purity test, this sometimes may come down to how we decide to navigate these waters. Are they rubbing it in your face? Are they preying on the weak? Are they bullying people? Are they being mean? Are they being violent? Sometimes, short of a purity test, it may come down to the actions of the companies and the consumers. How are they dealing with people? And when you are a company and you're bullying, if you are a consumer and you're violent, that sometimes can be the determining factor on how these waters are going to be navigated. Now, I'm going to say this. I've been in business now almost 30 years. And whenever I've gotten lost, whenever I had these really just lying in the bed, staring at the ceiling at night, I have to go back to my purpose. Why did I get into this business in the first place? And if your purpose is true, that's going to make these decisions a lot more easy. It's going to help you decide whether you should be prolific and vocal about your positions, whether certain things you should keep to yourself, where you should spend your money. Keep going back to your purpose. That's from consumer side and business side. And from a business side also, keep going back to your audience. Because part of that purpose, when you're talking about your mindset, your mission, your market, it contains that market. So folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. Bringing you the good marketing gospel. Thanks again for all of the birthday well wishes. Thank you again, Brenda, Chuck, Gerald, Erica, and a few others. I see your numbers. I don't always see your name. I don't really see your name until you actually put your comment in. So if I don't recognize you, it's because I can see that you're a number, but I don't see the name. So once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Folks, it's tough out here, but we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We've always made it. We found a way to endure. Just know and tune in to this show, and we can do this together. Share this information with others, and let's go out here and continue to pursue our purpose, our dreams, our visions. Don't let these haters and violent people and bullies win the day. They're not going to win. We're not going to let them. Not if Robert Gatewood has his way about it. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up today. And as I always say after every show, go to marketingpulpit.com. You can find this show and all the past shows at marketingpulpit.com. Also, thank you for everybody who's tuning in on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and LinkedIn. And as always, you can go to Marketing Pulpit and watch past shows. And as I say after every show, if you want to be successful, you've got to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you got to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. People don't understand marketing. You can't stop every time the money runs out. You need to come on and tell people why your service is different. Why is everybody so angry? Airline passengers biting the TSA agents. I mean, it reminds me of one of those zombie apocalyptic movies. And as a community, collectively, we're going to be taken more seriously if we have that strong economic foundation. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.